Hey guys, it's Angie, and today I'm here with
Monica Gutierrez.
and we're going to be answering the questions that you guys submitted anonymously, so let's just get started.
Yes.
The first question we had was, how do you truly forgive someone who has abused you? In my case, it was my dad.
First and foremost, I want to say I'm sorry. When I think God established the father, it was never meant for that position. And I want to say I'm sorry, and I can recognize how hard that is. And what I want to definitely differentiate, there's a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. So forgiveness is definitely that you go to God to find, and sometimes I truly believe that God himself has to be the one to instill that forgiveness within you to give to someone else. In order to reconcile, someone has to ask for forgiveness for a wrongdoing. If that's not something he's doing, then I think it's hard to reconcile when someone doesn't recognize that they hurt you. But I definitely think it's possible to still forgive even though you do not reconcile. And that comes with healing, that comes with scripture, that comes with the grace of God. And just know that it's a process. So if you haven't started that process, talk to your local pastor, talk to the Women's Center, and start the healing process with counseling.
If I was sexually harassed and I don't want to have sex because it disgusts me so much, I know it will cause problems in my future marriage. What should I do?
So I'm assuming we're asking, this is a teenager at the moment who's asking, and I think this is a great conversation because we're already talking about dating and marriage and that kind of thing. One of the things that I definitely want to input is, before any relationship, it's important to heal from past trauma and sexual violence. And know that everything has a time and a period. So there's no easy answer to this. I actually have probably more questions more questions to this individual. So know that if this is you, please feel free to call the Women's Center, call the hotline, ask for me directly if you want to. Let's have a conversation about this. But know this, in my experience, I have had clients with the same kind of dilemma, and know that they also have healed and they have led on to have very healthy marriages. So it's possible to heal. We just need to get that process going. So call the Women's Center, call the hotline number, and we can get you some help as soon as possible.
How can you forgive someone who doesn't realize or can't accept the fact for what they've done to you?
I think this goes back to kind of the same question we had at the end of time. I don't think you need someone to recognize that they hurt you in order to forgive them. If you're trying to reconcile with them, yes. But also know that forgiveness is a process. Forgiveness is something that doesn't come from one day to the next. It is in the process of healing and spiritual guidance. So I would say connect with your local pastors again, connect with your local agency. And we can work from them, because I think with this question, I do also have a lot more questions of, like, what does forgiveness mean to you, or what are the goals that you're trying to achieve in forgiveness for that person?
What is considered sexual assault? I have been recently assaulted by a female, and I know most people won't believe me being of the male sex. What do I do? How can I handle seeing the assaulter around since this community is so small? That's it.
First and foremost, I would talk about safety. One of the big things with victims of sexual abuse or sexual assault is feeling safe. There's a difference between being safe and feeling safe. So if it is hurtful to be around this individual, and if you don't feel safe around this individual, I would say do whatever you need to set boundaries for that. It's okay to do whatever you need to feel safe. One, I applaud you for being a male victim. You're right, it's never ever easy to talk about. But know that you have a right to feel safe, and you have a right to talk about what is bothering you and to heal. So call the Women's Center so we can start that process.
How do I convince a friend to not become a stranger's sugar baby?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Do you know what a sugar baby is?
Not really.
So a sugar daddy is the person who is actually providing and kind of just having. Mm-hmm. The sugar baby would be the person who's accepting this. Yes, who's kind of the receiving end. First and foremost, before you go in the role of trying to save your friend, I think the first thing you should do is, one, try to look at this from your friend's perspective and know that most individuals who go into this type of situation it's probably because they don't have a support system. Does that make sense? They don't have a support system where they feel safe and they connected with, so they're trying to get what they need from anywhere else.
Yeah.
And this is the part where they're coming from. So I think reminding them that they're so much more than just someone's toy, that there's someone's tool, that there's someone that using them, or there's another way to get what you are needing.
Yeah.
So it's about looking for what are you needing? What are you getting out of this? So if you're trying to convince, you're coming from a judgmental point. Does that make sense? So you're coming from very judgmental. And yes, although it's unsafe for this individual to be doing this, I think more than anything, it's important to look at the root causes and try to find out, like, why do you think this is your only solution?
Yeah.
Help me understand on what this is going to achieve, and start that conversation from there.
Okay. Our last question says, I have a friend that is being sexually harassed by a guy that claims he cares about her and is only trying to hype her up. The sexual comments and things get worse when he gets high. She's not high with him, by the way. But he doesn't remember, so he's convinced that it didn't happen like that and that it's not that big a deal. How do you approach a situation like this?
Well, I think we need to see, there's a lot of imbalance of power there already.
Yeah.
I think we need to establish that there's a lot of, one, I think drugs definitely put a high risk to a lot of sexual violence, and we're talking about sexual violence, sexual harassment, any of those things. But first and foremost, I would help that person create a safety plan. Like, if it continues and you have to be there, what can you do to get out of that situation? Like, where can you call someone? Can you use a safe word or any of those things? But one of the things that worry me is that when this individual is confronted with their behavior, they're completely in denial of their behavior. Does that make sense? They're completely, so that to me tells me this person isn't going to stop, or this person isn't even validating what they're doing or that other person's feelings, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
So there's already, like, there's been a boundary and it's already been crossed. Does that make sense? So that is, and I just would want this person to also look at this relationship. I'm assuming it's a relationship, and just let them know, is this what they're looking for in a person? Like, does this person make me feel safe? Does this person make me feel loved? And why do, and if that answer is yes, is why do I think this is what I deserve? I'm assuming we're also talking to someone who is of the faith, and I think we need to remember that we are worth so much more. And when God created an institution where He created someone for you, I do not think He ever created someone who wants to hurt you and is harassing you. And when they hurt you, they also can apologize or admit when that happens. So I would just say, if you can't help your friend, tell your friend to call the Women's Center and ask for advice on how to stay safe. Come up with a safety plan, how to get away if I need to, and who are the people I can call who I know are not going to judge me, are not going to ask me questions, are just going to help me when I need it.
Yeah. Lastly, I just want to ask if there's anything that you'd like to share with our youth, any last words, or that you think that would be good for them to hear.
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to make sure that everybody hears is, as teenagers, it's so much easier for your friends to trust you than sometimes even an adult. And one of the things that I would like to let you know is you are in a position of power and in trust at that moment. And remind them, first and foremost, believe them. Second, them, support them. Don't ask a lot of questions about the abuse or anything. Just let them know that whatever they did to keep themselves safe at the moment was the right thing for them to do. And last but most important is know that this was never God's plan for you. He was with you when you were being hurt. He was hurt when you were getting hurt. And He wants to restore you and to heal you. And He is still seeking for you. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being with us. That's it.
If you guys have any more questions, just feel free to leave them in the comments, and just keep submitting your questions anonymously, and go into UG Youth to ask us more stuff. So
Yes.
and
Thank you again.
Thank you for being here and for having these conversations with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you guys.
It's been amazing having us.
Thanks.